Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today is the fourth video in a series that I am doing that is teaching you all how to learn tarot and how to read tarot cards. In this video today, we are going to be dealing with the suit of Pentacles. And the suit of Pentacles represents the material, tangible, physical world. In the calendar of the year, it represents the season of autumn. So the suit of wands is the springtime. The suit of cups is the summertime. The suit of pentacles is the autumn. And the suit of swords is the winter. In this card, the Ace of Coins, it is showing an opportunity that is bestowed on you almost by divine intervention. So this can represent a new job, new opportunities, new offers of money if somebody gives you money, if you find money. It can also represent different projects in which you're not necessarily receiving cash money, but you're receiving other wealth, other items of abundance or other compensation. So it can represent new beginnings, getting a raise, or also investing in yourself. In a fertility reading, this would represent conception because it's like a seed being planted. Next, we have the Two of Pentacles. The Two of Pentacles represents being flexible, being balanced. As you can see in the background, there's a lot of high waves and the water's really, moving quickly. But this person is able to continue to juggle even though all this is going on in the background. And so this person is able to go with the flow and maintain balance. This card also often indicates balancing your energy, balancing your personal resources, balancing your finances, just not getting ahead of yourself, not overspending, just making sure that everything remains fair and level in your life. Number 2 is also a number of partnerships. So in a business reading, it can indicate coming together with another person to combine resources. It can also represent multitasking and the need to delegate. So if this reading comes up in a job reading, it's reminding you, you don't have to do it all yourself. And trying to find balance and flexibility. In this next card, the Three of Coins, we see people coming together to work as a team toward a common goal or on a creative project. Most of the tarot decks show people coming together to work on a religious church or a temple or something along those lines, but it can also represent coming together to work towards different creative projects. It represents teamwork. It represents building a foundation because a triangle can be the very beginning of a stable foundation. It represents abilities, quality, working together, teamwork, quality work as well. When they say quality, it's quality work. If the Three of Pentacles comes out in a relationship reading, to me, that would be an indication that the person is either allowing their job to come in between themselves and the person they're in a romantic relationship with, or people at work are coming in between them, the people as a couple. It can also represent affairs, having an affair with a coworker as well, to me. So it would be indicating where something about that job is coming in between the person in the relationship. So that's another indication if this were to come out in a relationship reading. Next, we have the Four of Pentacles, or the Four of Coins. We see here that this person is clinging very tightly to their pentacle, to their money, to their wealth, to whatever it is that they own and hold dear in their material world. So this card is a warning not to become too attached to what you own, but also to preserve what you own and to take care of it. So it's finding balance, and it is also the number of foundation. A 4 does represent a foundation. It is square. It is stable. And so it's finding that balance in material and financial stability. So it can represent possessiveness, as I mentioned. And this is, according to my little guide here, it is a significator for retirement. So when this card comes out in a reading, you can ask yourself, am I ready for retirement? What am I doing to help me be prepared for retirement? When you finally come of age and you do a reading, it could indicate that retirement is coming. Next, we have the Five of Pentacles, or the Five of Coins. Here we see two people out in the cold. They're in a snowstorm. They're feeling very, left out, injured. And for some reason, they feel like they're not accepted within the security and stability of culture. So in this particular situation, it does indicate the church. So because most people in olden times would congregate in a church or a temple, and so all the people, all the regular people would be inside the building, and anybody who would be the outcasts would be left out in the cold, right? And so this can indicate, if this comes out in a personal reading, that you feel this way, you feel left out somehow, or you feel like you've contributed something, but you're not getting something in return. You're still not getting that compensation. And in a relationship reading, it can definitely indicate that you have, spent money on someone, that you've given your time and energy, and they're still just like leaving you out in the cold. They're not engaging with you. They're not appreciating you. They're not talking to you. So it can represent poverty, worry, or physical or financial depletion. If this comes out in a job reading or a finance reading, it would indicate financial troubles. In a job reading, it would indicate that you're just not being compensated for your time, and that you are suffering as a result. Next, we have the Six of Pentacles, which represents the generosity coming through. So in the cycle of the story of life, it would indicate a time where Three of Pentacles, you've come together to work on a project. Four of Pentacles, there was a little bit of greed maybe in getting paid for the project. Five of Pentacles, you felt like you were not compensated fairly. Six of Pentacles comes in, and there's finally someone who's making the situation right, making you feel like you are seen, making you feel like your efforts matter. And it's that balanced reciprocity. It can represent generosity, the balance between yin and yang, giving or receiving of help. And it can represent charitable donations as well. Receiving charity or giving charity, just depending on how it comes out in the reading. What other cards it comes out with, I mean. And if this card were to come out in the reverse, it would indicate giving or receiving with conditions. So it would indicate to me a time to be cautious of receiving something, because there are certain people who will give you something but expect something in return, or always hold it against you, like, oh, I gave you this. And, anytime they feel that they haven't been compensated fairly by you, they'll always remind you of everything that they've given you. And so it's kind of like, giving with conditions. And so, or it could be a warning for you, if you're going to give somebody something, just give it to them, because there's sometimes, don't give anything that you, or don't, it's that kind of that saying, don't loan anything that you wouldn't be willing to just give away. And so it's that in the reverse, it's that type of energy. Next, we have the 7 of Coins. So in this particular deck, he looks a bit tired. He's taking a rest. But in most Rider-Waite-Smith tarot decks, this card represents planting your seeds. It represents planting your seeds and tending your crops, and pulling the weeds and doing everything that you need to do in order to prepare for a bountiful harvest. So it does involve hard work. It involves establishing yourself. It also involves patience and waiting, because when you plant seeds, you have to wait for things to grow. And then when they start to grow, you have to wait for them to blossom, and then you have to wait for them to bear fruit and all that stuff. And so it can also represent delayed success. But I don't really see it that way. Whenever this card comes out in a reading, I don't see it as being delayed. I just see it as being, plugging away and towards your goals, establishing your goals and starting to chip away at, the things that you need to do in order to achieve them. Next, we have the 8 of Pentacles. Here we see somebody who is working on their craft, and it is bearing fruit, I guess you could say. It's helping them be abundant. They've worked up to a level where they have fine quality materials and tools to work with, and so the product that they produce is of a higher quality, of a higher caliber. So when this card comes out in a reading, it does represent somebody who has worked to establish themselves. 8 is a very balanced number. It is 4 plus 4. It's a double foundation. It's also, the number 8 is an infinity symbol. And so it does represent continued success and a reciprocity as well. It represents being productive and enjoying your work, being in a field that you really enjoy and doing something that you love to do. Next, we have the 9 of Pentacles, which is usually portrayed as a beautiful woman wearing beautiful clothing with her animals around her, and in a garden, in a lush garden with all sorts of flowers and fruits, and a house in the background. And so it just shows somebody who's very abundant within themselves. And it usually does portray a feminine energy as well, most of the time. So it's a female who is, well, reproductive. So somebody who has the ability to reproduce, and they're very fertile, but they're also secure within themselves. And so it's being stable, but it also represents a lot of potential as well. It does represent luxury, self-sufficiency, employment, and financial gain. If this card comes out in a reading for someone, and as I mentioned, it's usually portrayed as a feminine energy, it can still represent a male person who's the querent, or who's the person that's being read. It just indicates that they are very balanced in their feminine energy. So they're fertile person. They have the ability to nurture and care for and reproduce. So sometimes there's some confusion about that. Next, we have the Ten of Pentacles. So here we see an older gentleman with his dogs and his family, his wife, his daughter, his grandson, and the big house in the background, all of the pentacles and the lush trees. And usually there's, lots of also fruits and things like that. So this card represents legacy, working so much and finally establishing yourself so that you're in a position where you have enough to not only live comfortably in your golden years, but also leave something behind for the next generations. As you can see, he's wearing lots of gold. He's wearing, fine fabrics, and the people in the background have nice, beautiful clothing on. And so it does represent that long-term stability and abundance that people need in their golden years. It also represents family inheritance, leaving a legacy, and retirement. And so in some situations, it's not so much that we're leaving a lot of cash, but we're leaving something behind about our reputation, or something which is still of considerable value, especially to our children. Next, we have the Page of Pentacles, which often represents a younger person. So in a reading, the court cards can represent people in your life. These can be the children or the younger children in your life that you're close to, or sometimes it can be an aspect of yourself. Like if we're just starting out in a new career field, for example, that could be, we could be showing up as a Page of Pentacles. So the Page of Pentacles represents solid beginnings, news of a new job or housing. To me, this is also a card of somebody who's a friend, or a coworker as well, or somebody that you meet as a friend through work. But as the artwork indicates in the background, you can see that the person is standing in a field of flowers, and they're full of opportunity. There's a field in the background ready for planting. It's just there waiting for them to get to work and start planting. The mountains in the background do indicate obstacles to be overcome. And so it is a card that is showing you, if this comes up for you in a reading, it is showing you that you're just getting started. There, you have some work ahead of you. You have some work cut out for you, so to speak. And so, but it's not, don't take it as being too daunting, because as you can see, there's a lot of lush scenery and abundant fertile land to work with. Next, we have the Queen of Coins. These cards, the artwork in these cards is usually a maternal woman. It can be sometimes a woman who's pregnant or with a child, or there's often rabbits just to indicate the fertility. And she's also often portrayed on a throne or in a lush environment with lots of vegetation and fruit and flowers and everything, and water There's water flowing in the background, which shows you that she is emotionally connected and nurturing, as well as financially stable, abundant, and fertile. In a person, it would be an independent person, a fertile person, and also a very resourceful person. So if this comes up in a reading for somebody, it would indicate that they are in a very comfortable place financially, standing in their own power, so to speak, and taking care of themselves, as well as being able to take care of the people that they care about. Next, we have the King of Coins. The King of Coins is often shown sitting in a throne and in a lush environment as well, but we have the castle in the background, the palace in the background, and he's always portrayed as being sort of a stoic and stable person. So this is father energy as well, although the Suit of Cups can also represent father energy. But it's somebody who's very wealthy, somebody who's generous, a very practical leader, somebody who's very grounded in their thinking, very practical in their thinking. They go with what is tried and true, and they're a wise investor. So this is not a risky person by any means. Like if this card comes up in a reading, this is somebody who is not a risk taker. They like to stick to well-researched methods and established methods, which can be a good thing, because if it's already working, there's that saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of thing. So this is, as you can see, this has a Taurus energy by the bull horns. So it's also showing you that this would represent the astrological constellation of Taurus. So possibly somebody who was born when the sun was in Taurus. And I forgot to mention with the Queen of Pentacles, you can see there's a goat on her throne. So that indicates Capricorn. So somebody possibly born when the sun was in the constellation of Capricorn, or some other prominent planet like the moon, or the ascendant, or something like that. So there are often symbols like that in the tarot cards. So this concludes our video on the Suit of Coins, also known as Pentacles. I hope you found this video helpful as you learn how to read tarot, and I hope you have a blessed day, and stay tuned for the final video, which is going to be the Suit of Swords. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.